What's up, men of God? Hope all y'all had a blessed day today. Earlier, I made a post about the beginning of the Sword Keepers ministry that we're doing here on Facebook and TikTok, and I mentioned Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, just as a person sharpens the character of his friend. And that got me thinking about some things I've heard in the past that I kind of wanted to share with y'all. So bear with me. My son's sleeping beside me, so if this fires you up, holler for me, okay? We've all heard people say, "Oh, you can't judge me. Only God can judge me," and they always want to take you to the Book of Matthew, right? You look at Matthew 7. Looking at, you can look at verse 5 right here. Hypocrite, first take the beam of wood out of your eye, and then you will clearly see to take the splinter out of your brother's eye. That's from the Christian Standard Bible. You'll probably hear me use the Complete Jewish Bible and a couple other ones as well. But that's what this translation says. And so first take the beam of wood out of your eye, and you will see clearly to take the splinter out of your brother's. Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? What he's saying here, what Jesus is saying is, check yourself before you try to step to somebody else. Check yourself. And everybody takes it as immediately, don't judge. You can't judge me for my actions. But if, another scripture that comes to my mind, if we go over to Galatians, this is chapter 6, starting at verse 1. Brothers and sisters, if someone is overtaken in any wrongdoing, you who are spiritual, restore such a person with a gentle spirit, watching out for yourselves so that you also won't be tempted. Verse 2, carry one another's burdens. In this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. All right, so we're seeing two things here, okay? Right there it says, if you see someone overtaken in any wrongdoing, you who are spiritual, restore such a person with a gentle spirit. Okay, so that right there, if I see you doing something wrong, I'm being told right here to call you out on it. Now, that's not saying I can judge you, but I'm supposed to hold you accountable for your actions. And that's kind of a big point with the Sword Keepers ministry, is just being able to hold each other accountable, right? And, if you really think about it, that process, iron sharpens iron. Well, think about how that works, right? When you're sharpening iron, you don't just touch them together, right? And the sword doesn't get sharp, right? There's a lot of friction involved when you're sharpening something. You're scraping and maybe you're trying to forge something and you're beating it with a hammer, right? There's friction involved. There's heat involved. It's not something you can do passively, right? So for my iron to sharpen yours and yours to sharpen mine, we've got to hold each other accountable for things that we do that are outside the scriptures, that are outside what God's called us to be and what God's called us to do. And, that's something that we as men kind of lack sometimes. Maybe we worry about ourselves, or we don't worry about our brothers, or we worry about our brothers too much and we don't worry about ourselves. But regardless, it's a back and forth kind of thing, when you're sharpening a knife with a whetstone or something, as you're taking pieces of metal off that knife to sharpen that knife, there's pieces of that whetstone being removed too, right? So they affect one another. So we as men have got to do better, right? To sharpen each other and to hold each other accountable for our actions, and to hold us to a higher standard, because we're called to do great things by God, and we're called to lead, and we can't do that if we're all trying to be the manly man that just kind of sits in a corner and or sits in solitude and tries to handle everything himself. So that's just something that was on my mind tonight, and let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree with me. If you disagree, drop some scripture. Let me know. Let me know where you think it's off, because that's kind of what this is about, right? So I just wanted to share that with y'all. I hope everybody sleeps well tonight, and God bless.